What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
What's up? I'm Pete.
And on The Stack, we talk about a ton of comics that have come out this very day.
Today's the day. Our
We got
day.
This
bunch.
is a great stack, man.
Ooh, that's good. Excited to hear
We'll
that. Love a
see.
little...
Oh.
Wars
You
are
wanna
brewing.
fight? You want to fight?
Seems like somebody
Stack
might
fight.
need some revenge, so why don't we kick it off with Wolverine Revenge #1 from Marvel, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Greg Capullo. I want to put a spoiler warning right here, because going in, they barely talked about what this book was. They kind of talked about we're doing, Wolverine, and he fights a bunch of people, ... So the impression was... It's just a chance for Greg Capullo to go wild. He's back at Marvel.
Yes.
He's drawing Wolverine. Great. Here's the spoiler
does
warning.
do that.
He does do that. Here's the spoiler warning again. This is, I think it's not exactly the same thing, but I think it is much closer to like Old Man Logan than anything else, because it immediately...
Oh, I don't know.
No, because it immediately sets up a apocalyptic world where Magneto's Asteroid M, something has happened to Magneto. Magneto dies. Asteroid M crashes into Canada, kills hundreds of thousands of people, basically the entire population of Canada, the way that I understand it. And it causes an EMP that knocks out all power in the world. So Wolverine, Captain America, and Bucky are sent on a mission to restart the power, running into some old enemies and old friends, and it goes about as bad as you can think. The reason I compare it to Old Man Logan is because it's this apocalyptic world where people that shouldn't die very quickly and very frequently throughout this book. So if you don't know what you're getting into, it is pretty much a jaw-dropping shocker from the first page.
The only thing I would say, Old Man Logan felt a little... it was like a bit of a gimmick to me, and it was like this...
Sure.
From the very first panel, I was like, oh, he's not going to pop his claws? So, like, we don't have that sort of false anticipation here. Like Alex is saying, I feel like as I was reading this, I was like, what? No. Really? Okay. No. That guy's a bad guy? Seems like he should be a good guy, technically. It's hard to do a fastball special when you're on opposite sides of the old map.
Hey, spoilers, Jesus.
It's all right.
Well, no, we're in full spoiler territory.
Yeah, it's also on the cover and solicit for issue 2 and 3, so it's all right.
But this comic goes hard, and it's not the same. I feel like so much of like Wolverine, finally Wolverine cuts loose. It's just him like tearing apart members of the Hand, which we've seen like millions of times. This
Gets
does
better
feel
every
different.
time.
Yeah, in a good way, this does feel different. And I don't think it gets better. I've seen the Hand sliced and diced enough. I'm good. I'm good on random
I'm
ninjas.
not. I have not
getting
met
cut
my
up.
quota in my lifetime yet. I could use more of it.
You
First
need
off,
to fight the Hand yourself, Pete. They've been bothering you for too long. Get out there and take your own revenge.
First off, I think it's bullshit that Wolverine Revenge and I'm the last one to talk. But okay, holy shit. Let's break this down.
Maybe you
First
need
off-
to get your own revenge, you know?
First off, sick cover, bro. Just sick. Loved it. Set the tone for the whole kind of comic of like, this is going to be bananas. You know what I mean? It's Wolverine on the cover with a fucking dinosaur. Shit's going to get crazy. Okay. So,
Oh, really? See, I feel like the cover was sort of a lie. The cover had very little to do with the action.
it opens up with him on a vacation in Dinosaur World. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, I
That's
agree with
definitely
Justin
not-
about this. Because, yes, it is a good depiction of a very fun scene where it's like, great, Wolverine's riding a Triceratops. But the implication of both that cover and that first scene is, get ready for a fun romp. That's not what this is.
This is fun. This is a fun romp.
Your guy, Captain America, gets a hole cut in his chest and then explodes for basically off panel?
Yeah.
That's not
bunch
a
of
fun
people.
romp.
Well, I'm having a blast. I'm having a great time. Get a blast.
You know who also was having a blast? Captain America and Bucky.
Yeah, they
Boom,
were.
boom.
Anyways, back to my review of this. Jesus Christ. So I love this kind of the fact that it's a Wolverine book and there was like just madness going on and things happening at such a fast pace that I was like, wait a second. It seems like we're rushing into this, guys. It seems like we're glazing over some really important details here. What the fuck's going on? But I love the way Wolverine is positioned at the end of this first issue of what's going to happen moving forward. You know what I mean? Like, they got rid of all these side characters like Captain America and all these other fucking side
Nick Fury.
characters. Yeah, Nick Fury, fuck you.
Magneto's dead. Who cares?
Yeah, like, who gives a shit? First off, sorry, Canada. You know what I mean?
The ultimate side character, the population of Canada, is what you're saying.
Hey,
Do you think, by the
mouth.
way, I don't want to like second guess Jonathan Hickman or anything, but I feel like it's enough motivation that Tim Hortons has been destroyed at this point. Like, that's revenge. Like, that makes me want to pop my claws, you know?
Yeah.
The fact
No more
that
good coffee north
Makes
of the
me
border.
want to pop him my claws.
the fact that people are running from their lives because they have a bomb in their chest, and Wolverine's like, "Hey, are you gonna fucking come down here, or am I gonna have to go up there and talk to you?" You know what I mean? Like, I love the fact that he didn't run. I love
you
the
love when
fact that
Wolverine's
he
a
was
badass.
like, "Yo,
sorry, can I
Colossus-"
pop my claws over here? Huh?
Dude, it was great the way he calls out Colossus. This, after you would think like a tie-in, like, oh, Deadpool, Wolverine. This is them very much against each other, which is a different take than what we're used to. So I was shocked and very pleasantly surprised at the way this started. I loved all the insanity, but it kind of a little bit had this weird thing of like, you guys seem to know a lot about Wolverine, and the fact that you just kind of exploded him and walked away like that was going to be the end of it was kind of a little bit like,
Well,
where
he
the fuck
does
are you?
Lobo out a little bit here, right? Since now we're just plainly spoiling the entire
Yeah, we
issue.
are.
Like,
Yeah, he's
he
Lobo.
gets melted down to a pile of ash and then regenerates from that. So
Technically, he's known amongst certain circles as Earth Lobo. So that's what we call it.
You had to
Wolverine
tee him
is
up for that, didn't you,
Earth
Zelda?
Lobo's revenge.
I
is what we
can't have one nice thing. I can't have one nice thing at the start of the stack here.
I like this book a lot. I mean, Greg
Me too.
Capullo is a monster artist.
Oh, my
Everything
God.
that he draws is absolutely insane. The action sequences in the snow are fantastic. The stuff in the Savage Land is great. And it really does, beyond everything we're saying, feel like it's Jonathan Hickman saying, I'm not going to worry about continuity. I don't need to be like, this is Earth 12845.
Agree.
Who cares?
My favorite Earth, by the way.
I'm going to take this version of Nick Fury, also Captain America and Winter Soldier here, Wolverine's in the yellow and blue. Who cares? Let's just do something that leans into the wildness of this comic.
Well, and it also felt like this issue is just pulling back the bowstring, where it's just like it's the one like 4-sentence panel that kicked it off is like, nobody knows why this has happened, but Magneto crashed or whatever. Anyway, here's what's up. I was like, what? What a weird way to start the book. And then the whole first issue is just like, ding, 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 ding. Oh yeah, now Wolverine's mad. Nobody knows he's alive, and his 3 greatest enemies and former best friend are in the firing squad or in the
Buckle up, dude.
sight.
This is going to get great. Yeah, I cannot wait for the next issue.
Well, very similarly, let's talk about Jenny Sparks, #1 from DC Comics, written by Tom King, art by Jeff Spokes, which is a really fun concept of like, what if you killed God? You know, like that's the sort of thing. Like,
you
sort of
just
a fun
opened
thing.
by being fun concept? That's what you think a fun
God.
concept
I had
is?
such a blast reading this book because you got a bunch of characters like just fighting and like doing some lightning strikes and like it's cool, right, Pete?
No,
I'm just trying to rile you up. I'm sorry.
Wait,
No, really, I've never seen you do that before.
This is classic Tom King taking the character Jenny Sparks from The Authority, mixing her, like a lot of characters before her, from the Wildstorm world into the DC universe, giving her a role here. And that role is when superheroes go out of line, she's the one who shuts them down. In this case, it's Captain Atom, another character who is from technically a different universe, at least initially. He was the Charlton character, right?
Well, and I feel like we're getting a lot of Dr. Manhattan here, I
Yeah.
feel like an unhinged version.
Did you get that from the 9-panel grid that he uses almost constantly throughout this comic book, as he does
Well,
through a large portion of his work?
that's what I'm saying. To be fair, like he does that enough that it wasn't specifically deployed to be an homage. But I do think you feel that so much here, and I feel like that must be intentional, and maybe it is like showing that Captain Atom is a wannabe Doctor Manhattan, but doesn't have sort of
Well, which is funny
knowledge.
because Captain Atom was supposed to be Dr. Manhattan. The original idea was to use the Charlton characters.
Exactly, yeah.
And then they changed it. But in all seriousness, at least what I took away from this book is not about can you kill God, but the line between superheroes and gods and when does it go too far, and what happens when you have a character like Jenny Sparks, who is the spirit of the 20th century. Now she is moving into being the spirit of the 21st century. She's immortal. She's unkillable. What does that make her? What does she care about? What does she want? And similarly, you have Captain Atom, a character who is also, I think, an exemplar of literally the atomic age. What is he now that we are in the 21st century? So that's what he's playing here. There's a lot of big, heady ideas, but also Jeff Spokes, I think, draws the hell out of this book. There's some incredible sequences here. So there's a lot of the pacing ticks that I think we get from Tom King that are familiar now in terms of showing various people in the city.
Is that a positive or a negative take?
I don't know, honestly, because he does no, for real. I was trying to check myself while I was reading the book because
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
yes, I was trying not to wreck myself because he does it really well, but
Yeah.
the idea of over the course of the book, we're following all these people who ultimately end up in this bar in a hostage situation with Captain Atom. You kind of know where things are going based on having read previous Tom King books, but that's okay because that's the story he wants to tell, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm talking a lot, so
Yeah, you are. It's hard to get a word in. I would just like to talk a little bit about the problem I had with this book is that Sparks is badass for a reason I don't quite understand. You know what I mean? She constantly needs a light, but she has the power to light her own cigarette. So I'm just kind of like, what is going on? And she's like, I'm such a badass. And I was like, okay, great. I believe you. I'm rolling with you. But then, spoilers, but when she got her neck snapped real easy, I was like, I'm not getting the badass vibes anymore. And then when she came back, was like, all right, well, let's do that again. I was like, why do I want to watch that again? That was a lame attempt at trying to talk with Adam. So, like, what?
these are
What are we
sorry.
doing?
It's just to clarify, at least this is my take on it. It's exactly what I said before. These were two characters who were left behind in the 20th century. The Authority is a very 20th century idea. What is she now here? Maybe not quite as badass.
I heard you when you said it before.
Well,
Right.
but I would throw out there, even beyond 20th century, this feels like it's about America a little bit, about like what it means to be like you're saying, the atomic age feels like it's about exceptionalism. I'm a god, I can do this, and I think Jenny Sparks is a little bit like the 20th century idea that like we can do this, we can figure this out, and I think the neck snapping and all of that is like, oh, you can't do all of that. There are roadblocks constantly. They're both met with that, both Captain Atom and Jenny Sparks here. But they're continuing to confront each other, and that's because of what America, you could say the world more so maybe, but it does feel very American to me, even though Jenny Sparks is British, right?
Well, and I'd also throw out there, while we're talking full spoilers for this issue, you don't see her coming back. So there's a little bit of a mystery there in terms of we see her neck get snapped. She's on a slab. Batman looks at her dead body, and next thing we know, she's back in the action doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
So I believe there is a point that will probably roll out over the course of this series about that. My supposition based on one issue is that she is stuck in the same pattern. She is doing the same thing over and over again, but I don't know. We're just at the beginning here.
I think the underlying theme, and I think what I like about Tom King's work is he almost always has an underlying guiding principle for his comic book work on top of a really good action and dialogue. And that's fantastic. But here it feels like it is, hey, you can't keep doing the same stuff. The world has changed. And I think that's why it feels like very particular to choose Jenny Sparks as the hero here. And I just want to say about the art. The art's really is different than a lot of Tom King's other work. There is a lot of 9-panel stuff, but that is broken at a point, and the action feels very close up and a little more maybe horror inspired. Maybe I'm not quite sure.
I don't know. I mean, it's not exactly the same thing, but the framing seemed a little Brian Hitchy, which would make sense given the authority. Like, he does a lot of characters sort of leading into and looking up at the panel.
Yeah, that's a good call. It does feel Hitchy, but not as the lines are a little cleaner and it's a little less like drawing real world people into comics. These do still feel like comic characters that stand on their own, but the panels, the off kilter lines that sort of make up the page, I think, feel very like askew, meant to keep you a little off guard, like horror film is.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a sense of dread throughout this book, which is very interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes.
The use of Batman is interesting as well, especially like Batman doesn't have the 20th century or sort of like an era attached to him. He's sort of timeless. So I'm curious what his use here means. Is he just like a stabilizing presence for all of time or all of superhero-dom or something? But I don't know. It does, and Batman sort of looms in the background, being like, yes, dead. Okay,
Yeah.
And so
we're just starting here, so this feels, based on one issue, the closest to Rorschach that he did, almost more than like
not
Adam
Batman.
Strange.
You mean the comic that Tom King did?
Yes, yeah, it feels like the Rorschach comic, where it was just like, we're giving you a little pocket of information. Come back at issue 2, see if it's the same thing or not. Who knows?
Yeah.
Destro, number 3 from Image Comics, written by Dan Watters, art by Andrea Milana. In this issue, Destro is on the defensive as he is attacked in his family's temple. I think we could call it temple, by a character that I'm sure Pete knows who this is and was psyched to see. Pete?
Yeah, it's got to be so exciting for the reveal at the end.
Oh my God, guys, spoilers, but General Flag? I mean, come on. What's crazy about that is, like, even as a G.I. Joe fan, you're like, are you really getting me excited about General Flag? Because he was such a small character that really got pushed to the side once the kind of cartoon and stuff took off. So it's kind of hilarious reference. I just think it was, I laughed out loud when I was like, really, General Flag? Like, that's what we're doing?
Tell us about your time with your General Flag action figure. Like, what did he do when he was fighting your other...
General Flag was running G.I. Joe, but like that got pushed away real easy, and like Flint and other characters started being in charge. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of like just a reference for just being insane reference. I just was like, that's impressive.
I will say I personally am kind of put off by the increasingly deep G.I. Joe and Transformers references that are happening throughout the Energon universe, where I'm like, please, I don't know who this is. This is not getting me excited here. That said, this book is still very good. Dan Watters' tone here and him diving into the military-industrial complex is good. There's a satirical bent to it throughout that is really working for me. So I'm enjoying this comic. The references are taking me out.
Yeah, I mean, the nostalgia factor is way too high for me to have any kind of real, pull myself out for an opinion. But yeah, I love all the actions, fun twists and turns. This is just, it's nice to see Destro kicking some butt. You know what I mean?
It's strange. This whole Destro compound and the Destro family, I'm like, it's very funny to me that his whole thing of wearing a mask, are like, no. His whole family does masks. I'm like, oh, okay. And they have a house far away.
Do you remember Mask, the cartoon? That was fun.
Of course, I love that cartoon.
Yeah, great intro song.
Yeah, Mask, Was that what it was?
No, Jesus Christ. That was
Saviors of the
Flash.
universe.
Flash, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It was something epic like that, though.
It was epic. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that far off.
No, I mean, it was. Yeah, but anyways, let's move on and talk about the next comic that's really great.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Look at Pete. What is this? A Pete stack? Why are you
Predator
like
versus
so-
Black Panther, number one
Come
from
on!
Marvel, written by Benjamin Percy, art by Chris Allen, Sean Damien Hill, Craig Yeung, and Lee Ferguson. This is a semi-sequel to Predator versus Wolverine, number one. Maybe it takes place in the same universe, maybe not. I will say at Terrificon this weekend, I talked to Benjamin Percy, and he clarified that they keep it purposely vague with these things where it could be the Marvel Universe, could not be. But here we are getting a bunch of Predators that are coming for Vibranium in Wakanda. Pete, you seem psyched about this, so take it away.
Yeah, I just want to ask when you saw Benjamin Percy, were you just like, oh, great, now I have Purse? I have Purse? You know what I mean?
I don't get this. I'm
What?
sorry.
Okay.
You're going to have to explain this one.
Okay, fun. Anyways,
No, explain it. No,
No,
we're
you have
stopping
to
the
explain
show until
what
you
you're
explain it.
talking about.
it's a fun thing on TikTok. Luckily, I have Purse. His name is Percy. Anyways, sorry I lost you on that. But this is such a great idea of.
Pete, that was very demure, very mindful of you. How
Hey, there we go.
Okay.
Hey, all right. You're not as old as
we're
you look.
young.
Yeah, not as old as you look. Yeah, I think
guys, this is a dangerous game trying to out youth each other. Let's just be cool a little bit here.
I just think what a great idea. Predator versus Black Panther. I think it's just, I love the idea of it. I'm excited for what's to come. This was a little tough because there's, I hate the family fighting. So seeing Black Panther kind of disagree with Shuri and other members of his family about the direction of Wakanda was a little bit heartbreaking. But I'm hoping through this new experience, Predator will, change his ways. But man, what a cool setup.
What? You want Predator to change his ways?
No, I want
Thank you, Black Panther.
to change
You have
his
taught
ways.
me to love.
Not.
I will only
Well,
order
hopefully they
food
both change
now.
their ways. Maybe this thing will change them both, and they'll
The
be
only
like.
thing I will hunt for now is a good book to read. Thank you, Black Panther.
But think about it. They're both fighting with their families and going to take out on each other when
know
they
what?
need to be turning that inward. So
They
maybe
should watch the movie Fighting with My Family and have a good time. Florence Pugh is great in that.
Pew, pew.
Spoilers, The Rock makes a great cameo in that movie as well.
Wow, great. That's
So,
the
anyways,
spoiler
love
everyone
the action.
expected.
I'm really pumped for this battle that's to come, and they set it up pretty good.
This book, I do appreciate how much time we're hanging out with the Predators and their
Yeah.
little squabbles, because that's not something we normally see. Them being like, "I'm jealous of his little weapon."
Yeah.
We get some Predator doing Wolverine stuff, like for that to be like an Easter egg.
They did it also where it was Snick. It was
Yeah.
SNIK without the T, and I was like, come on, man. You could just
Well,
go
it doesn't.
for it.
Maybe
No,
the
you
biology is
can't.
a little
Legally,
different.
you can't. Yeah.
Legally,
Legally?
Wolverine's
Owns
lawyers
very
pull up
litigious.
on the
Yeah,
Predator
yeah,
planet.
yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
I'm the
"Excuse me."
best there is at
Excuse
what I
me.
do, and what I do is sue for my IP rights. I own Snick,
You would be a very
you
intimidating
motherfucker.
lawyer. I mean, come on.
I appreciated the ambition of this, but as a semi-sequel to Predator versus Wolverine, which I thought was great, here this is amping up the complexity of everything exponentially. Like it's really
Yes.
leading into here is the cultural stuff going on with both Wakanda and the Predators, and that's a lot to get into versus Predator versus Wolverine was like we're hunting each other.
Yeah.
So it was easier to grab onto. And
Easier to
again,
jump in.
yeah, exactly. Benjamin Percy, good writer, knows what he's doing here. I'm curious to check out the second issue now that we're starting to get past the setup, but it was not the easy jump in that first series was.
Well, and I will say, like, I think the setup could have been much more clean if it was just like, hey, these two groups of warriors in Wakanda are trying to tag Black Panther. and then a bunch of predators show up, and that's where we're sort of left with that being the move forward. So I am curious why we spend so much time with them and what the importance of Vibranium will be. It feels like there's a larger build to integrate predators into the Marvel universe, which feels a little strange.
No, I just think, regardless of what warrior planet you're a part of, families have problems and don't see eye to eye and stuff.
Do you think a Predator will join the Avengers coming up? I think
that'd
so.
Be sweet.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Too many different kinds of snickting going on, though, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Gotham City Sirens, #3 for DC Comics, written by Leah Williams, art by Matteo Lolli. Here, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley have been captured by Punchline, who is running basically a free-range kill extinct animals and also humans type operation. You know the deal. And it's all
classic CEO fucking corporate bullshit. Go to an island, murder a bunch of stuff.
It's like a real-world video game.
Yes, exactly. This is fun. I am enjoying this event. I enjoy that this comes out every week. I think Matteo Lolli's art is perfect for this, doing a great job of capturing the characters. There's a really fun intro sequence where they lay out the exo punch that Punchline is selling to brainwash everybody. It's just going for a big, goofy August event. I think that's all we're heading towards here, down to the introduction of a new character, a new version of White Rabbit late in the book. Fun stuff. I'm having a good time.
I agree. I actually liked I was questioning the use of White Rabbit, or the fact that there's a White Rabbit in the DC and Marvel universe that is sort of the same thing, and none of it makes a ton of sense. But it's been worth it in this book with the introduction of this new character that I guess we're not spoiling, even though we've spoiled every other one so far.
We can say it.
No, it's fine. Okay. But I also wanted to shout out the art here as well, which is fantastic, and the increased use of the Nasty Boys as a bunch of bad guys. We got the Nasty Boys coming out strong. Mr. Sinister's Nasty Boys, except these are shirtless cowboys.
Yeah. This is just so much more fun than I thought going into this, because I was like, all right, the Sirens, all right. But man, I am having such a blast with this. Amazing art, I agree. Really fun story. This is just punching way above its weight class in such a cool, creative way. Super impressed with this book.
Why do you hate the Sirens?
I don't hate the Sirens, but I just think that sometimes they're just kind of there. You know what I mean? And this is a great use of them.
Wow.
Next up, I added this to the stack because we had a listener who asked why we don't talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers stuff more. So I was like, okay, well, there's a new one coming up. So it's Morphin time, as you said, Pete. Power Rangers Infinity, #1 for Boom Studios, written by Sam Humphries, art by Brandt&Stein. This is about a old enemy of the Power Rangers re-emerging and trying to ultimately force the Rangers into a situation where the new version of the Rangers are dumb enough that she could beat them, and she thinks she's got that through what is ostensibly a real-world Power Rangers fan at a comic convention pitching ideas for Power Rangers comics to Boom Studios, and it spins out from there. I'm just going to say this up front. I'm not a Power Rangers guy. I think I've said that with every single Power Rangers thing that we've talked about. I've enjoyed a bunch of the comics that Boom Studios has put out. I legitimately teared up at the end of this book, and I could not believe it. Like, I really seriously did. Like, it snuck up on me, the emotional hit, particularly through the way Brandt&Stein depict the main character, and also the way that Sam Humphries writes this main character and her passion for Power Rangers. It's infecting.
Is it because you go to Artist Alley at cons and try to pitch your ideas, just like this character was doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And you saw yourself.
It was the first time I saw myself on screen.
Great.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really nice. So wait, so Pete hates Gotham City Sirens. You hate the Power Rangers. What's the deal? Why do you dislike?
I don't hate the Power Rangers.
What turns you off?
Nobody said hate.
The show was dumb.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Whoa!
But it was clearly just a stepping stone to the Mystic Knights of Tir na Nog.
I mean,
Anybody else spend their sophomore year of college watching that at like 5 p.m. and pre-gaming for the evening?
Nope.
pre-gaming.
In
Nobody.
college, mostly what I watched after class was
And the
like
nanny?
3 to 4 hours of Beverly Hills 90210.
Oh my god!
Wow. I can't believe someone has a worse answer than Mystic Knights and the nanny.
That show was great. You shut up.
Yeah, I don't mind the Power Rangers. I watched it as a kid and stuff. Yeah, I liked the art style, the cartoony kind of vibe. Really set up the whole kind of meta thing in a fun way. I also like the giant polar bear telling everyone to be cool. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, when it got a little meta, that pulled me out a little bit.
What I liked about this is that in a world where a lot of the Power Rangers books
No, you got to say in a world.
Oh, nice. I want you to voice over me doing that. Is that possible?
Yeah, sure.
So in post, I want you to just do me this whole time, okay?
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, no problem. I'm Justin.
In a world. That's really good. So I should be deep in a world voice, but also I sound like a cartoon like bear? Was that a cartoon bear?
Yeah.
So many of the Power Rangers books are about deepening mythology, big ideas, further iterations across the dimensions and galaxies. And what I liked about this is this was having some fun while at the same time touching like the real emotions that you're talking about, Alex, and then pushing into some meta stuff, which are the real frontiers of a book like this and a IP like this. So like I appreciate the move here.
Ultimate Spider-Man number 8 from Marvel, written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Marco Checchetto. Big stuff going down in this issue. Peter Parker is dealing with, I don't even know where to begin here. Mostly they're going to a birthday party, but at the same time, the Sinister Six is being built up in the background. Jonah Jameson is giving a riff on the great power, great responsibility speech to Peter Parker's son, Richard Parker. Plus, we find out that Peter's costume may be this dimension's iteration of Venom, and also we get a flashback to Iron Lad showing up. So many things happened in this issue.
This comic, there's so much going on. I like the iterations. Like I think the Venom costume being Peter himself, like the nanite version of him, or Pico cells or something. I think it's
Pico
called.
suit.
Pico suit.
Pico,
is really
Pico.
really it's like Pikachu. It's really fun. We talked about, I think, the previous issue about how the Green Goblin suit is Harry chose his father to be the voice inside it, which mirrors the Green Goblin's. The chemical is another voice that makes him go crazy and become the Green Goblin. So a lot of very smart choices by Hickman here, and the way that we're getting to the Sinister Six, I thought was really interesting. Like that it's built around the 5 boroughs of New York and the gang war that so much of Spider-Man, I guess, is obsessed with the gang war event that happened through all of last year and keeps coming up throughout Spider-Man's history, with the 6th borough being the under of New York, which I thought was pretty fun. So like a lot of fun new ideas here, but I will say the only caution I have is there's almost a little too much going on. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Pete? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And also we spent a lot of time with J. Jonah Jameson, which I was like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Do you think it's normal to give a book as a gift that you wrote?
Yeah, that's a horrible idea.
Well, Pete, say what you want to say about the comic book, and then I'm going to throw a theory to you guys.
Okay, I appreciate that. So I did like where it ended. Like I like the end stuff. All the other stuff not as much enjoyable. Also, it was a little disheartening that we got Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and then you're just going to name your kid Dick Parker. That's really what we're going to go with. I mean, I was a little.
Miles Morales is not in this book.
I know that.
Richard and Mary are Peter's parents. He named his kids after Richard and Mary.
I guess. I mean, I just felt like we had a fun thing going on, and you got ruined it a little bit. You know what I mean?
Sorry.
As far as a name, you like Spider-Man names is what you're talking about, like Peter Miles.
Yeah, like this kid's got no future because you named him
Okay.
Dick. Like he can't be a fucking.
I don't know.
superhero.
Dick and Peter are pretty similar names in some ways.
I disagree.
You think about it.
Yep.
Think about it. What they mean.
The amazing art is very enjoyable.
Amazing art's amazing. Here's what I'm going to throw out to you, and I know I keep beating this drum with every issue, but I really feel like Hickman is driving home that Peter is not ultimately the hero we think he is in this universe. And the reason I say that, this issue just hit it for me again because Iron Lad comes in and is like, you were top of the list. The Maker came in and was like, we got to eliminate Peter Parker, Spider-Man. That's why I know I needed you. Green Goblin, not on the list. Green Goblin also still not a
Green
villain.
Goblin,
Yeah,
Peter
but still,
Parker.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Alliteration?
I don't know what you're. Okay, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor. We can all say things.
Sorry, are you guys fighting?
That's a completely different. That's DC. Like you're just jumping the
We're
ship.
just saying things, right?
Are
We're
you
just saying
fighting or
things
just
that-
like dipping into like a
I'm not
trance
saying
I
state?
honestly don't
This
know.
is
My
the
point is that
Marvel's
Peter Parker is still
Spider-Man
very
universe.
lackadaisical about the whole thing, not sold on being a hero. He hasn't suffered any loss or anything like that, like Peter Parker in the main dimension. He's just kind of floating through life like a lot of 30-year-olds who don't have direction. His direction is being handed to him by other people. That happens with Iron Lad. It also happens with J. Jonah Jameson and Ben Parker coming up to him and being like, come on, join our paper. And he's like, I don't know. I have a pretty good job. He's very much a 30-something who is willing to just coast. On the other hand, we have all of these other characters who are owning it. We have Harry as Green Goblin, who is like not on the list at all from Iron Lad, who makes him this rogue element that potentially could actually stop the Maker because the Maker is not expecting Harry to be Green Goblin, Harry to potentially be the hero that he currently is. But the other thing that I thought was really fascinating, to get to the thing that you're talking about with J. Jonah Jameson gives Richard Parker a riff on the great power, great responsibility speech with his book. It's a very J. Jonah Jameson riff on it where he's like, read my book. It's great because I'm great. But he really does talk about, without saying the power part, he says the responsibility part, and he indicates the power part anyway. So I don't know where this is going to go, but we have like 15, 16 months until the Maker emerges or whatever. Yeah. I think there is a good possibility based on this issue that Peter Parker is ultimately going to become Venom and become a villain in this universe, and Richard Parker is the one who is going to become Spider-Man based on what we saw here.
No. Richard Parker is not going to be anything because his name is fucking Richard Parker. He can't be
Dick
shit.
Grayson.
That's a different whole world, you dumbass.
Secondly, you're both just saying stuff.
I just want to apologize to people.
I don't know. Pete
in their
is
30s.
lumping on it because his name is Dick, and there is one of the greatest heroes in a different superhero universe who's named Dick.
Yeah,
Dicks
that's a
are
different.
great.
I'm talking
love
about
dicks.
Oh my
I
god!
could
I'm
never
talking
take
about
enough
the Marvel.
dicks.
Oh my god!
Give me more
the Marvel
dicks.
dicks.
Yum, yum,
He doesn't
yum,
like
yum,
Marvel
yum.
dicks.
Also, I want to apologize to people who are in
Marvel
their
dick,
30s, where
DC
Alex
dick,
is like,
I don't even
all
care.
30-year-olds are just fucking get shit handed to them. I don't know what that statement was about.
Wow. I hope all of you 30-year-olds out there really took that apology to heart. I do agree with you, Alex. I think two things. The only thing about having Richard Parker be the hero is we basically just met him this issue. Mm-hmm. And I'd be surprised if unless like the book spins to him. And then while Uncle Ben, his Uncle Ben is J. Jonah Jameson, could be, I guess, but maybe not. What if Peter is the Uncle Ben, and he's the one that dies, and maybe Harry is the sort of hero that you were maybe insinuating?
I can see that. Whatever it is, I think this book is not what we think it is. That's the main thing that I'm getting at.
And I think the underlying philosophy that you're saying is like Peter Parker isn't himself an inherent hero. This character that we've seen is someone who is just living. it's what happened to him that hardened him into that, and the power responsibility lesson, and that hasn't happened to him yet. His Uncle Ben's still alive. He hasn't faced that defining loss that created the Batman like mentality and guiding principle that made him a hero. So I think you're right that either he has to have that, or he has to be that for someone else to create the Spider-Man hero that needs to help take down the Maker.
We'll see what happens. I'm not again, but I do want to say I'm really enjoying this book. I am all in on this. I think Marco Checchetto's art is phenomenal throughout here. The characterizations are great.
That's all I'll give you.
All right.
That's
Love
Green
the
Lantern
arcade.
War Journal.
Love the arcade.
Apologies to Pete, who's not aloof either. You know, he's loof. He's very loof.
Green Lantern War Journal. Number 12 from DC Comics, written by Phillip Kennedy Johnson, art by Montos. Just to give a little plug here, I chatted with Phillip Kennedy Johnson at Terrificon, so we'll be putting up our chat with him about this very issue, as well as another issue, Crocodile Black, that we'll be talking about later in the stack, in the Crocodile Black stack. So stay tuned for that. We'll put that in the Comic Book Club feed. But final issue of the series, John Stewart is fighting back against this otherworldly invasion. Meanwhile, on Earth, his mother and the construct he created of his sister are fighting back against an aspect of this. I thought this ended really nicely here, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it got
Very
a
touching.
little lost in mythology for the past couple of issues, even though I thought the mythology was very impressive. But we brought it back to basics with the emotion here, and that really got me.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying along on these books that like we really liked this kind of thing, and it got away from it a little bit. So it was nice to kind of get back to the mother and sister of it all there, and very touching, unbelievable art. Loved all the action. Also loved the giant like hands panel. Those like hands coming out of the earth was pretty awesome. Very, very epic feel to it. So congratulations on this run. This was definitely worth checking out. This Green Lantern War Journal 12-issue arc was it's definitely worth it.
I agree. The way that this book pushed the Green Lantern powers into, and didn't pull back from it. I thought in the last issue was going to be a big tragic loss situation, but instead it really like allowed change to happen, and was just John Stewart, I feel like, doesn't get emotional stories. John Stewart sort of always has to be the soldier, the one who's just like gritty on the ground, being the warrior, and to give him just this nice, great new part of his life to really be in, I thought was really fantastic.
Patra, number 1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by James Robinson, art by Scott Collins. This is about a girl who is on the run from a serial killer, kind of. I think that's maybe the simplest way of explaining it. There's a lot of other things going on here. Justin, you're kind of making a face.
Well, this was unsettling. The cover, the art, I was like, this feels like the doodles of a crazy person. Yeah. In a way that I think really does create dread, but also it's very horrifying what's happening sort of throughout this.
Yeah.
Pete, what did you think about this one?
Jeepers Creepers, a bunch of powerful beings on the loose here in the woods. People are dead, and creepy doctor goes to the sheriff. I mean, this is scary shit. Great art. It's kind of next level frightening. So yeah, if you're into that, this is check it out.
I love Scott Collins, and I do think James Robinson here is really leaning into letting him push his art style, like you guys are saying. You know, a bunch of his stuff has felt like over digitally inked or just over inked in general when he was doing things for DC lately. This feels like unfettered Scott Collins, the Scott Collins that I really liked back when he was drawing The Flash for Jeff Johns and doing other things like that back in the day. There was a Flash villain that Jeff Johns and Scott Collins did in the run. I think it was Murmur, who has a mask and was just very skinny and weird and a serial killer. This feels like taking that and blowing it out into a whole series. There's a dreamlike quality to this. I was very impressed with this first issue, and like you guys are saying, very unsettling, but worth checking out.
Yeah, agreed.
Phoenix, number 2 from Marvel, written by Stephanie Phillips, art by Alessandro Miracolo. In this issue, Phoenix, aka Jean Grey, is teaming up with her father-in-law. What happened? Father-in-law.
Hey, whoa.
Hey. Corsair.
The team up we demanded.
I parked the Corsair up by Harvard Yard. Anyway,
oh boy, what happened?
I don't know. Anyway, I don't know.
There was a lot of fun stuff in here. You got Jean and Scott Dad, who turns out to be a big old perv. But what I really enjoyed was that Jean Grey admits that she doesn't miss Scott. She misses his coffee, and I thought that was hilarious.
I don't know if that's the
takeaway that I took. And when I was reading
this, I was like,
fantastic art.
Are Jean and Scott married?
Yeah,
technically. But because of all the different deaths and stuff, they're still just technically married?
Yeah.
Nope.
I don't know. It definitely felt like a little bit like I guess it reading this, I was like, it's hard to find definition in a lot of relationships, specifically in the X-Men, because we haven't had time to explore that in so long. The most palpable relationship in the X-Men world right now feels like Rogue and Gambit, because of the Gail Simone issue, the first issue that came out. That feels like a real strong, palpable relationship. While the Scott-Jean relationship feels so like separate.
Tired.
Not even that. Like, we never got to see much of them in the Krakoa era, or a lot of any emotional relationships between the characters. So this book feels like it wants to do that a little bit, but they're literally doing long distance. And then the Corsair thing, where he sort of is at like the same age as Scott in a lot of ways. It's just reading this called into question a lot of like, hey, wait, what's actually going on here?
I think we can all agree, though, the art was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, just a little note about that. Excuse me about that. Alessandro Baracolo was called out on the first issue for clearly tracing a bunch of other artists from other X-Men books in particular. Wow. Based on at least preview pages, it seems like the same thing here. I haven't necessarily gone through the entire issue or anything like that. And I don't know, it's tracing Marvel stuff, which personally I don't think is great. That's definitely giving me a little bit of ick when I'm reading the book. I think Stephanie Phillips is doing a great job writing this and defining what Phoenix is like in a cosmic sense. From the art perspective, I agree with you. On the surface, I like it, Pete, but given that aspect of it, it's a real bummer.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. But as a whole, like, I guess I want to know more about this book. Feels a little bit like a sitcom tonally, but it also feels like it's an epic galaxy spanning Phoenix book. And those two tones aren't coming together yet. They feel like they're operating in opposition to each other.
Yeah. Nightwing 117 from DC Comics, written by Tom Taylor, art by Bruno Redondo. I gotta say, the main character in this book is Dick, and I just really didn't like it at all.
Oh, well, that's weird, because you were
that
just
makes
talking
sense.
about
No need to have any of that.
Yeah, I don't want to elaborate at all.
Awesome cover. I mean, what a fucking issue. This was so good. The art was absolutely fantastic. The story just fucking rocks, man. I love what they're doing in this book. This Nightwing run is a must pick up. Tom Taylor and Bruno are quite a duo, and this is going to be a legendary run.
What did you feel, though, Pete, about the main character being named Dick? Is that something that you feel like you would go down on, or are you up on it?
I don't even know.
Are you willing to get up on it, or are you
or are you going down
on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it sucks?
I think this comic does not suck. I think it's an unbelievable comic, and should
You're
be
having a hard
treated
time
as such.
swallowing this issue. I get it, but for me, I mean, this run is fantastic. This issue, just the cover alone, which is just another beautiful cover with a very subtle image showing that it's actually Batman in the Nightwing costume, which I thought was very cool. We get a bunch of, when we see Bruce as Nightwing, the costume just is too tight. Like, it's
He
just
says
funny.
it. He says it
says
was
it.
very snug, which I
But it
appreciated.
just is. And I feel like Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo have such a good balance of like big emotional moments that not just about their run, but call together Dick Grayson from every run, from every use of the character. I was reminded a lot of Agent 37 in this issue.
Oh, wow.
The Tom King, I believe.
Tom
worked on
King
that.
and Tim Seeley.
And Tim Seeley, when he was working for Checkmate, which like
Spiral.
the fact that
Spiral.
Oh, sorry, Spiral. Well, there was Checkmate was the rival. I don't know. Right? Oh, wow. Nice.
It was definitely Spiral, though.
It was definitely Spiral. You're right. But the Checkmate elements I liked as well in there. But the way that this sort of scoops all of that up and is able to make it still emotionally resonant and beautifully shown, beautifully drawn is awesome. The moment when Nightwing gets back to Barbara's great. His facial hair, similar to mine, just a coincidence probably, but really, really appreciate
Did you
it.
sort of like lay yourself flat on the comic?
In a way, I did.
Okay.
I did look to see like, oh, it's sort of, it's not a full beard, but it's like getting there,
Mm-hmm. Did you do that thing where you cut out his lips and then put your lips in there so that you could be kissing Barbara?
I guess I kissed my life-size Barbara model that I built. If that's what you mean, Alex. Is that what you mean, Alex?
I mean, that's partially what I mean, for sure. This is great. This run is absolutely fantastic. The emotion is great. I will mention, since we didn't touch on this, but all the stuff with Dick and Deadman I thought was fantastic as Deadman tries to help him get his mojo
that was
back
really
and get over
awesome.
the field of falling. And I won't spoil it, but in terms of retcons, the thing that we end up with completely fits the run that they've been doing so far, but changes almost everything about Nightwing in a wild way, and very impressive.
Really, really love that. The only thing I didn't love about the book is when you get to the last page, super intense, exciting, and you scroll forward one, you're shown the Beetlejuice cover, which I found to be quite unsettling.
That's part of the book, though.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Beetlejuice is in the book.
Beetlejuice killed the Graysons, the Flying Graysons?
Yeah, that's the
You
secret.
didn't know that?
Beetlejuice killed the Flying Graysons.
What are you saying?
Did he kill the radio star?
Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I thought you were calling that Black Star.
that was great. That was really great, Justin.
I'm sending it in for my big audition.
Oh, cool. Your huge audition, like Huge Detective #1 from Titan Comics, written by Adam Rose, art by Magenta King. In this book, we are presented with a world where giants exist. They have emerged in Australia and initially were eating and smashing everybody, but now are living in kind of harmony with the rest of the world and working as boats. Basically. Meanwhile, the main thrust
Boats that touch the ground under the water.
Alex.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Boats have legs, though, right? That's how they get across water?
Well, islands do.
They float.
No.
Boats float?
Yeah.
What about islands?
Boat float. Pete?
No answer, Mr.
Well,
Mr.
well,
Ocean
well.
over here. Mr. Ocean doesn't have an answer. Well.
Okay, guess somebody has to take the voyage of the Mimi for a second time.
Oh, boy.
Pete knows what I'm talking about.
I think this is a really creative and fun comic. I liked how the Huge kind of talk with their minds, unlike humans who have to use their mouth. I thought that was fun stuff. Interesting commentary. Love the art style. I think that the artwork kind of makes things a little unsettling on purpose, the kind of wavy, stretchy lines and stuff, but such a cool world. I love how different it kind of feels, and I love this kind of world that you get sucked into. So I was super impressed with this as a creative endeavor.
Yeah, this comic goes hard with just everything. It reminded me the way that it just sort of presents knowledge as if like, yeah, we all know this. It's like when you go to a party and you don't really know everyone and you're like, "Hey, what's up?" And they're like, "Oh, we're all clowns." And then they talk about clown stuff and you're like, "Yeah, I know what you mean."
Yeah, because we all been at parties, and then someone said, "No, we're all clowns." So that's a thing.
I mean, I have.
Alex says.
I have.
Yeah.
My wife actually was a circus clown, so that's real experience that I had.
Is
but I
that a big
understand what you're
reveal?
saying. It throws you into this world, and even with the setup, there's a huge mythology dump over the course of this issue.
Detective.
But the mythology is interesting, and the
Definitely.
idea of being like a giant detective and a regular sized detective teaming up to solve a mystery is interesting. What didn't quite work for me is there are, like Pete was saying, these sections that are very dreamlike where they throw in panels that don't necessarily connect to the action that threw me off. And there's enough other things going on in this comic that I don't feel like we need that as well.
Yes, I think like understanding the world of giants because we get deep into some other things where like the giants because giants are a means of travel. There's like giant travel books and stuff, and I was like, that's plenty. We don't need to. There's whatever's happening on the moon in this book. I'm like, oh, I don't know what's happening up there.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to deal with the stuff that's happening on Big Little Earth over here.
Yeah. But interesting start and good art. Yes, go ahead, Pete.
I just wanted to call back a stupid thing that you were doing. Detectives, one of the slang terms is dick, so the title of this is Huge Dick. I just want to.
Oh, thanks, Pete.
I thought of you,
Pete. Pete, that's fucked up.
Well, you said you thought of
That's weird. That's
Dick
Pete.
and
You're
you thought of
crossing
me.
the line.
Thanks, Pete.
Oh, that's funny. Pete always introduces you as my big dick friend Alex.
Oh.
No, I say this is Alex. He's a huge dick.
Oh, that's what it is. Sorry, that's what it
Okay,
is.
that makes more sense. That tracks with the past decade and a half. Paranoid Gardens, number 2.
So exhausted, so tired when you said that. Wow.
Paranoid Gardens, number 2 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Gerard Way and Sean Simon, art by Chris Weston. Speaking of thrusting you into the deep end, we are at a old folks home meets sanatorium that has some alien looking folks and monsters and superheroes and a lot of things going on at the same time. We are following kind of a main character who seems normal but clearly is having visions of some other life and world. She's supposed to be working at this place, but maybe she's also actually an inmate / patient there. We don't know. But the bulk of the book is taken up with one of the main doctor characters trying to sneak in 2 guys in monkey masks with big money necklaces to do something, and it goes terribly wrong by the end. Pete, I feel like this issue in particular played into all the stuff that you really liked about Umbrella Academy. What'd you think about this?
Well, I mean, this is some really kind of fucked up gardens that they're in here. The monster, that one kind of like monster nurse with that face, it's just so creepy and stays with
The
you. It's
neck mouth?
Yeah, the neck mouth. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, neck mouth. Nurse neck mouth.
But man, just really impressive artistically. It's a whole nother level of creep. I'm not really sure what's real and what isn't, but it's really fucking interesting, and I'm in.
This feels to me, if I had to name it, it'd be Shutter Island meets Umbrella Academy.
Oh, interesting.
Which is a nice idea, but 2 issues in, I felt like this second issue was going to give us just a starting point to understand what's happening, and they just definitely did not do that. There's more mystery, there's more like intrigue,
Just like
I
Shutter
like
Island, you think you're going to get the answer, but you don't get it.
not till later. I like the characters. I like the art is fantastic. Chris Weston, great to see him back out here. I just want to know just a little bit more about what to glom onto here.
To that, I say good luck. I don't think that's going to
You don't think it's going to happen?
I don't think so.
Not at all. You don't think we're ever going to get an answer? Really?
What?
I think it's going to feel like a surreal dream throughout. That's what Umbrella Academy felt like, and I think we're going to get the same thing here.
Yeah, but Umbrella Academy, you knew what the situation
We got some answers, yeah.
Okay.
And, like, the answers, it never closed the loop, but there was a story there. Here, I don't think we're even given a story yet, and I just need to know where the story begins,
All right, fair enough. Scarlet Witch, number 3 from Marvel, written by Steve Orlando, art by Russell Dauterman and Jacopo Camagni. Scarlet Witch is dead and trying to work her way back to life by fighting various folks in the underworld, including mainly this issue Lore, an evil version of the Scarlet Witch from throughout the multiverse. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Darcy and Quicksilver in particular are trying to save her and save the world. This is big epic mythology, but I'll give a particular shout out to Russell Dauterman's art.
Yeah, come on.
The underworld stuff.
Come on.
That is just the best.
Yeah, we got Witch versus Witch in an epic battle, and the art does such a great job of amplifying the kind of stakes and really just unbelievable panel work that kind of sucks you into all this action in such a cool, tense way. Really impressive what they're doing here. And go Darcy, go. But man, Steve Orlando is killing it on Scarlet Witch lately, and it's just really impressive.
Yeah, I really like this as well. It reminded me a lot of Batwoman, if you're a fan of that book from back in the day with J.H. Williams on the art.
Oh, yeah.
It has a nice sort of, not that it's a ripoff or a homage in any way, but it just it reminded me of that in a really positive way. And I like the sort of descent through realities that we're getting here and the ultimate, like, don't you want to fuck with the Scarlet Witch? Don't, because she's very powerful.
Don't.
No matter how you slice it, she's going to come through anything to wreck shit for good or ill. And I like that because I think that's a defining quality of the character that Steve Orlando is really determined to make constant.
Self-Help, number 3 from Image Comics, written by Owen King and Jesse Kellerman, art by Mariana Inazi. We are following a dude who is a regular, well, he's not a regular dude, he's a con artist, as we continue to double down on in this issue. He looks exactly like a famous self-help guru who he has now left dead by the side of the road and taken over his life. We find out a lot more about his life. What I'm loving about this book so far is that every issue, things get more intricate and more insane. It felt like a very Prince of the Pauper premise when it was set up, but from issue 1 to issue 2 to issue 3, there's just more details added about this bonkers plan and how everybody is working on it from different aspects. Things get exponentially worse. It's like noir laid on noir laid on noir. I don't know how they're going to work all this out, but I'm very intrigued to find out.
Yeah, I agree with you. It took a tidy premise and turned it into a messy crime comic, which is great. Like that sort of shattering of something that felt like, oh, I see what's going to happen, into something like, oh, no, it's actually quite messy, like a lot of crime is. And these people keep messing up and keep thinking they figured it out. And they just haven't, going as they continue to move forward.
One of the lines in here that I really loved was "Grown-ups are weird." You said it, kid. Yeah, amazing art. This story is crazy and violent and insane in interesting ways.
The Powerpuff Girls, number 2 from Dynamite, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Karen S. Darbo and Helen Birdie, Carlo Laura, and Julia LaFrancescina. In this issue, the Powerpuff Girls are kind of fighting Mojo Jojo as he enters their dreams. Another fun issue of this title.
We talked to Kelly.
Noir on noir, I think.
We talked to Kelly Thompson about this, and yeah,
we really should have talked to her about it.
Yay! Nice work out there. We did, and we also talked about her love and my love of Mojo Jojo as one of the best villains of all time, and you can tell she leaned into that here, and we got one of the best kind of Mojo Jojo villain monologues. I felt like it was taken right from the cartoon in all the best ways, and as a fan of the Powerpuff Girls, it was nice to see this property handled with care, and it's in great hands.
It's hard to create original characters, but it's sometimes even harder to be handed characters and to have to write in their voices and write in the tone and style of a very particular, story or show. And in this case, I feel like with Powerpuff Girls, Kelly Thompson is just bringing great new versions of stories that fit perfectly into this world. This was such a fun one. Mojo Jojo is the villain here, but is really the main character.
Mojo Jojo.
Yes. Thanks for the pronunciation correction. Mojo Jojo is the main character of this story in a great way, sort of a lot of Powerpuff Girl episodes. And the art just perfectly matches everything that you would expect.
Great.
Superman number 17 from DC Comics, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Jamal Campbell. And this is a absolute power tie-in as a powerless Superman and a powerless Zatanna travel along the dark pathways, or at least they're hoping to try to find something that can turn the tide against Amanda Waller and her Amazo robots. What I really loved about this issue is doing what comics do best with some regularity, just stripping Superman of his powers, finding out what makes him tick, pushing him, and finding out if he doesn't have his Superman powers, is he still Superman? And the answer, of course, is yes, but I think Joshua Williamson writes that really nicely. Jamal Campbell's art is, of course, great, phenomenal throughout here. There's an action sequence in Swamp Thing's swamp that I thought was so cool, just really well drawn. And without spoiling it, the reveal at the end was, I think, my favorite last page of the week. It was just something that I would not expect at all, and I just love where it's taking this title next.
Agree. And that's why I feel like this Absolute Power event has just really been delivering in the main title and in all these ancillary tie-ins, where when you depower all these heroes, they need to find a way to be heroes. And, this is a Superman that's in a bad spot.
Hero's going to be heroing.
Hero's going to be heroes. And Superman, you don't usually see him sort of not working with confidence. He's fucking up here.
Yeah, big time.
Zatanna's the one who's like, hey,
cool it, dude. Yeah, Jesus. Come on, guys.
And that's great to have Superman be superhuman in a way that we don't see him as, with flaws and all, is really great. And I think the reveal that we're not saying at the end of this issue is a perfect end point to the setup of a Superman with faults going into whatever happens going forward.
I also want to give a shout out to, you guys were a little disappointed about the Beetlejuice tie-in cover, but this one where Superman's head shrunk in the Beetlejuice movie was hysterical, and I thought that was pretty amazing.
You're a big Beetlejuice guy, Pete?
Oh yeah, you don't like Beetlejuice?
No, I do like Beetlejuice.
I used to also watch the cartoon. I mean, it was I was a huge Beetlejuice
The
fan.
only good Beetlejuice cover is the Joe Quinones one for Batman 89 Echoes, where it's Michael Keaton Batman with Beetlejuice, who is also Michael Keaton. Good stuff. Just needs a Mr. Mom, and it would be complete.
Ooh, wow.
Wow. Great call. When are we going to get the DC month of Mr. Mom covers?
Yeah. Whenever they release Mr. Mom in theaters, I think they'll probably.
Hey,
Mr. Mom, Mr. Mom?
Hey,
how many times do you have to say Mr. Mom before he shows up?
It's 7 a.m.
So many.
Scotch?
Wow. Pete dropping a Mr. Mom quote, expecting us to start cheering when he finishes.
Woo! Wait, do a multiplicity real quick.
Hey, Steve.
Pizza?
Hey, Steve.
Don't challenge Pete with doing Michael Keaton quotes. We will be here all week.
Night shift, Pete.
Oh my God, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a.
Yes,
Dope stick. Let's hear some dope stick stuff.
I love McDonald's. I created McDonald's. Right?
No, that's good.
That was the founder.
That's the founder.
The founder.
Pete dropping, knowing that name. Man.
Namor #2.
From Marvel, written by Jason Aaron, art by Paul Davidson and Alex Linz. In this issue, Namor is out of his prison and now into the water. He's under the sea.
Under the sea.
Into the water. Into the water.
That's. I don't
I'm
think you
going
can make
to
that joke.
swim.
I don't think you can make that joke.
It's so very dim into the water.
Stop.
So he is kind of battling a Tuma, and we get a new, not exactly villain, but old flame / adversary from back in his past who shows up here. Really like the art in this series in particular. I always have a hard logical time with reading comics under the water. I don't know what it is. I also don't love Aquaman stuff. It just doesn't quite work for me. But I think, is it Alex
Don't say
Linz?
under the water. Just say underwater. You fucking
Under the sea.
stop.
Under the water.
Stop it.
Is Alex Linz the one doing the flashback stuff? Because I really like the flashback stuff it is.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes. The flashback, the young Namor stuff is cool. I mean, the biggest thing I want to highlight here is there's a huge section about how they make wine underwater.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
do
that
you?
part
How?
got
How?
really weird for me
Talk
when they're
to me
just
about that.
popping bottles of wine and just emptying it out. It's like, I'm not sure what's happening anymore.
Gotta
I don't
be
know.
very
I really
careful
like
how to
that
open
as a
that
way
one.
of tricking a tuba to get totally wasted so Namor can take him down. I had fun. I thought that was fun.
So what do you do when you're drinking wine underwater? You just like pour it in front of your mouth and scoop it up?
Yeah, I mean, how do you even? Yeah,
It's like in space when they have the little droplets of stuff, and there was it Homer that was doing that? Is that what I'm
are you
thinking
talking about
of?
Dippin' Dots?
No, Homer flying through the air and drinking the beer or whatever. it was.
Oh yeah. When he's the it's
that
fun.
makes sense. But with,
Dun, dun,
with
dun, dun, dun.
it floats.
Hum.
Yeah, I believe it was like pretzels or something.
Oh, yeah.
But it's floating there. In water, it just like instantly dissipates, and you're.
And we've just stumbled on what I was doing in college was just watching Simpsons reruns. Yeah, I think I love a Namor love story. I think that he's a fun character to kind of play with in that way. And yeah, I'm all about this. I thought this was a cool setup, but I did get a little lost in the underwater wine.
Under the water.
Nope.
Under
Nope.
the
Nope.
wine.
I wish I wouldn't have said that, but great art. Jason Aaron rocks.
Sorry, Pete. So how has it been trying to get a job with your major in Ned Flanders?
Oh man, it's tough, but I've done it.
You diddly did it. Witchblade #2 from Image Comics and Top Cow, written by Marguerite Bennett, art by Giuseppe Cafaro. We are following a rebooted continuity for the Witchblade as Sarah Pazzini now is in possession of it, but doesn't know what that's mean. A lot of this issue is about bodily autonomy, which I thought was a really interesting theme to explore that I was very surprised about. We're still getting some of the Witchblade trappings. It's an adult book. She's talking about how horny she is and having orgasms and whatever, and it's still ripping off her.
Whatever.
Well, I'm just saying that, like, I think the first issue got past the whole, like, horny dudes writing Witchblade. Nothing against the horny dudes who wrote Witchblade. They wrote some very good stories. But it started as, like, a cover play, right? It started as here's a nude lady, but she's not really nude, and why don't you sell that? That's what I think Marguerite Bennett is playing around with here, and I think that's a very interesting theme to explore.
Well, and taking ownership of the horniness, I think, is cool. And honestly, like, I thought this was great. I've never read a ton of Witchblade stuff that I was like very cool, but I think the inner monologue that we're getting from Sarah Pazzini is really great, and the way that she's thrust into different feelings, different connections with her body now that she has this power, and then the situations that she's in, she's like, wait, what? Whoops! Like I thought that sort of spectrum of being excited about having a new power, feeling the response to it, and then feeling the consequences of it, I think is really cool.
All I know is I felt very seen when she was housing those noodles. Oh man, I was like, yeah, that's
good.
fucking. Yeah,
I'm glad that's the scene that
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Also,
Pete's
just
known
like
as
some real
Noodlehauser on Twitch, if you guys are following.
Noodlehauser. So I thought it almost sounds like Doogie Howser. Anyways, I think
Noodlehauser MD.
There we
you
go.
need some free medical advice.
yeah, I also, I like Witchblade when it's badass, and they had some real cool stuff, especially when you start cutting people in half.
Can I ask you guys a question that's probably going to like really throw me under the bus here?
Why?
The
Why
scene-
would you do this? Why would you do
Please.
this?
Yes.
We're like 2
The
hours into this
scene
fucking
where
podcast.
she is
Stop
like,
stretching
"Oops,
this out."
I orgasmed really hard," and this guy leaves.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
She just had sex. Well, how was that?
No, I agree with you. I took some pause there. I was like, that guy ran out of the apartment? Like,
Because she
what?
orgasmed too much? It was like
Maybe he just had somewhere to go. Like he did his job and then he just left.
Did his job. What are you
did his
talking
job.
about?
That's not what it was, though. He was like, "Wow, I am upset about this strong orgasm that you had." I don't know. I just
Pete has two jobs: noodlehousing and giving orgasms, and he punches out as soon as they're done. I guess is the takeaway. What are doing. That I agree. That did not ring true to me, but I did like that she was like, "You're leaving later." Orders food immediately.
yeah. I liked everything
how you
around
do
that.
it.
There was just something about it where I was like, what's happening? I need more information here." But
Yeah.
anyway, good book. Titans number 14 from DC Comics, written by Tom Taylor, art by Lucas Meyer. Finally, it's all coming down to this as Raven is revealed as the Dark-Winged Queen, I believe is what we're going with here.
Dark-winged duck, I believe is what it is.
So I will just say my favorite part of the issue is when she says "blathering blatherskipe." Is that
Yeah.
Oh wow.
or is
made
that
sense.
Gizmo Duck? Does
That's
Gizmo
Gizmo Duck, which is technically a different city.
It's a completely different duck. It's a completely
I'm so
different
sorry.
cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, they came
Anyway,
out
that's all I have to say
similar
about
times.
Titans. What did you guys think?
But I believe Launchpad McQuack connects both of those characters.
Yeah, you're right.
Of course.
Yeah, cool covers. This
He's
is
the
hard
Nick
because
Fury of the DuckTales universe.
this is one of those things where Raven, has had this thing kind of over her head of like she could turn into this giant evil monster and then team up with her dad to take over the underworld and just kind
That
of rule
is
as evil.
so Raven. Something we've
Oh wow! I don't know. If we should be doing the show.
Well, that
anymore.
really caught you off guard, Pete.
I really don't.
You really.
I think we should hang it up after that. I apologize, people listening still. Yeah, but it's hard to see the thing that we were feared happen. So I'm worried, but the art's unbelievable, and this is cool. I'm hoping we can turn this around.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we will be able to turn this around.
Which one of the three of us is going to be like the key member who's really going to turn it around? What do you think, Pete? I think you. Honestly, I'm going to throw it out to you. I think you're going to do a great job in this situation.
You have a strong connection to the green. I feel like you should seize that and
Not the
join Swamp
red?
Thing.
Not the red? I feel like Pete has a stronger connection to the red than the green.
No, I think he's more of a green guy.
Yeah.
Me, rot. I'm all rot.
I'm whatever the machine thing was that they introduced.
Briefly, wow, deep cut.
Yeah.
But they did do that.
Speaking of which, I did appreciate that the Swamp Thing was Levi, the new Swamp Thing, and they basically just ran with it.
Yeah, literally, they're like, Levi! And he's like, yes. I was like, okay, sure. Also, he showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah. He's like, I'm
Definitely.
here. It's me, Swamp
It's
Thing.
like, why are you here, sir? I didn't understand why Swamp Thing showed up, but I do like the way the Garth stuff is. The Gar stuff is sort of playing out here in a nice way.
I thought you were
And
skipping ahead when you said Garth.
no, Gar is. I was looking at the word Garth, but trying to say Gar. And I do like. I think the art here is really good. This book is always trying to be big, and I appreciate that. And I like the way that in this issue, Dick Grayson, the best Dick, is saying like, "Get me everyone," and he
Nice, too.
Get Fury. Maybe he is going to get him. I don't know. Get Fury #4 from Marvel, written by Garth Ennis. That's the Garth we were referring
That's
to
the
earlier.
Garth.
Art by Jason Burrows. In this issue, Frank Castle is still trying to track down Nick Fury, who has been captured by the Viet Cong. And he has met Nick Fury's old lover and perhaps his daughter, and that's who they're working with. Pete, you're a big fan of these characters. Take it away.
Yeah,
By
I
these
mean,
characters, I mean Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows.
Yes, definitely. I really think this delivers. I mean, when you see Garth Ennis, you want something that's going to be both badass and fucked up. And I think this is classic Ennis here. Love this style. And I think this really delivers. This is a lot of fun twists and turns, but we're building towards something that's awesome. So I think this is a blast.
I would read just more missions like this. Like, this is such a well-constructed story where every new character is interesting. Both what they're doing, what they're saying, their reactions. There's a moment where Frank Castle is with the Nick Fury's partner, and the daughter is just walking away so pissed because they're talking about the mom's like sexual relationships and like everything. There's just so much working here. It's all so good.
Local Man #13 from Image Comics, written by Tim Seeley and Tony Fleeks. Art by Tony Fleeks and Tim Seeley. I will mention, not to keep plugging stuff, but I did sit down with Tim Seeley.
Yeah.
No, I did, but I
No,
would
it's
love
good.
people to check out these episodes, and we did talk about Local Man 13, so look forward to that. It'll be up a little later in the week, but great issue of this comic book. Big stuff goes down, huge game-changing things as our Local Man fights against the Faceless Horde, a villain who has taken over Farmington, including his mom. It is a fight for the very soul of Farmington. He ends up teaming up with his arch enemy Inga in the most surprising way possible, in a moment that made me laugh out loud when we finally got to it. And yeah, we end up with a new status quo change by the end of the issue. Great stuff.
This book is so good. No other book. A lot of stories, bring in outer continuity and try to mash it together to make a story that is new with original characters. Nobody does it better than this book. The way that they combine it and like sort of this is going to sound more insulting than I mean it, but like the trash culture of like 90s comics, the way they sort of scoop that up and
Hey,
sort
are
of
you insulting us?
I'm insulting myself and re-sculpt it into something that like resonates and is really smart, funny, and cool is awesome. It surprises me every time, and they continue to do it. And the two-page spread, I guess, where we get Tim Seeley drawing like some classic Image shit in the middle is awesome.
Yeah, Alex, I'm looking forward to hearing your interview because these two really work together well, and it would be awesome to I would love to be just kind of a fly on the wall for how they kind of come up with these amazing ideas and then follow through. But this is another great issue, a bunch of twists and turns, cool panels, great action. Love this. Holy fleekin' Seeley, this is good.
Wow.
And I also want to give a shout out to the backup stories, which are getting increasingly more pointed as the series goes on. This one is great in terms of pointing out the racism of 90s comics in particular. Just such a good package. If you're not reading this comic book, what are you doing with your life, man?
Wow.
Lawful, number 3 from Boom Studios, written by Greg Pak, art by Diego Galindo. Another game-changing issue here in the stack. This takes place in a world where if you do anything wrong, it shows up physically on you. A couple of months back, we had Greg Pak on the show. We talked to him about this book. So it started in this place focusing on this main character who's trying to do the right thing, but was ultimately tempted a little bit by doing things that were technically wrong, but are ultimately right for other people, which is the theme that they're playing with here. And yeah, that really spins out in a big way this issue. I'm shocked that they got this far by issue 3, but I think that's great. Love it. I'm excited to see what happens next.
Agreed. This book feels like it's shooting directly at like hypocrisy, religion, the way that we all lie to each other but still try to follow the rules. Really smart stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still so bummed I missed the Greg Pak being on the show, but this is just so amazing and so cool. I love the characters dealing with sin and the way that kind of manifests. It's so creative and awesome. This is just such a cool idea and so well executed. It speaks to how good Greg Pak is as a writer. Just really impressed by this book. And for me, this was a slow burn. At first, I was kind of like, I wasn't quite understanding it as well as I feel like this does such a great job of crystallizing in this issue and in such a cool way. So, yeah, hats off.
Wonder Woman number 12 from DC Comics, written once again by Tom King, art by Tony S. Daniel and Belen Ortega. In the front story, we're getting another absolute power tie-in as Diana and Damian Wayne team up to try to get information from Captain Boomerang on what Amanda Waller is up to, specifically about
that guy.
Private prison. You know him. Digger Harkness, I want to say his name is. I don't know. And then in the backup story, we've got Trinity and Damien and John are heading off on a 70-plus day mission to stop the Mongol of the multiverse. That's not the exact name, but basically it's a opportunity to put them in a spaceship together and get them to totally hate each other. Starting with the backup stories, unequivocally just fantastic across the board. So much fun. Just a standout every single month. But I also thought this front story was great as well. The relationship between Diana and Damien was awesome, and I thought this was so well structured.
I think we should award this with something we do a lot. This is the B-Pow of the week, the best package of the week.
B-Pow, baby. Yeah, I love it. Best package. It is a great package, and I totally agree. I'm sorry, Justin. I didn't mean to just jump in there.
No. We all know about this award. We've been giving it out for years.
Yeah, I thought we called it the TP, tight package.
Yes, but there's so many TPs. We had to elevate to the B-Pow.
People getting TP'd all over the place, so we wanted to go with this one. But yeah, I agree. The backup is just so much fun and blast. But also the Damien and Wonder Woman stuff was so great. And sometimes you have some fun torturing Boomerang. You know what I mean? What's wrong with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, his whole thing is just a boomerang. So. You can get after him a little bit. What I said this a little earlier, but like the way that great writers are able to tell a compelling superhero story, really push the characters forward in the midst of a large event, while still have some underlying like character games and philosophy going through the story. Like this has all of that stuff, which is great. And then, like you're saying, the backup, these have just been all fun. Such a like contained, continued universe. It's the Mongol of infinite Earths that they're chasing down.
That's right.
And that's why it has earned the coveted B-Pow.
There you go. Daredevil, The Woman Without Fear, number 2 from Marvel. Written by Erica Schultz, art by Michael Dowling. In this issue, Elektra, who is the new Daredevil, is taking on Joe Garrison, who is the new Punisher. So two legacy heroes coming head to head.
New versus new.
New versus new. I like this, and I like how this ended up, because the entire issue, I was like, no way is this guy Joe Garrison going to take down Elektra. And then, spoiler, he doesn't.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Erica's doing such a great job, and this is, I feel like this was such a great use of Elektra, and and I was like, oh man, this doesn't look good for the new Punisher, and it sure doesn't. And I love the way this left off, but the art's also really phenomenal. Yeah, I like Elektra as Daredevil, and I almost don't want it to go back to Matt Murdock as Daredevil. I'm having so much more fun with Elektra as Daredevil.
Well, he's still also Daredevil.
Yeah, but he doesn't need to be. He can stop. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's room for both of them, and
nice.
I will say, sort of mildly agreeing with you, Pete. I agree that this title is better. I prefer this title to the main Daredevil title. It feels like it has a real strong take. The use of the Joe Garrison Punisher is really cool here. Mm-hmm. It has a little bit of lightness to it, while at the same time being
her fun. Like, how many guns does this guy have? That was fun.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff here.
Yeah,
while still being like great action, gritty, mystery, ticking clock, all the elements we're looking for, and a classic DD.
It was a little weird how she kind of lost track of the bullet she deflected, though, at the end, where she was kind of surprised.
You can't keep track of all those bullets. They're bouncing
around. You know.
Well, you keep track of every bullet that's flying at you?
I mean, if you're deflecting them, you got to know where you're deflecting and what's going on. You can't just be like, oops, I'm not
going
to
live halfway between Philly and Baltimore. There are bullets flying everywhere all the time.
Yeah, you're spinning your nunchuckus, Pete. Deflecting bullets left and right. And you're making sure none of them are hitting your comics?
Say it right. Just say nunchucks.
That's also
say
wrong.
Nunchucks? That's the worst way to say it.
Well, I know it's incorrect, but that's kind of the general, like, people just call it nunchucks, even though it's not really.
Nobody does.
No one says nunchucks. People say nunchucks.
It's nunchucks. Yeah, but
you always say nunchakus.
Nunchakus is the. Now I'm questioning it because we had this whole thing about nun and nun. But anyways, nunchakus is the full term.
Nunchakus is when an actual Catholic nun is wielding them, right?
Yeah, and she's eating Chacos, the favorite cookie of Martian Manhunter.
What?
Martian Manhunter. Chaco tacos.
Yeah.
Ooh, Chaco tacos.
None Chacos.
You can't go to a Taco Bell anymore, and it's heartbreaking.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's really tough.
I don't know how we're going to move on from that. I don't know how we're going to move on from that.
You know what? We had 3 more titles to talk about, but I don't even want to talk about them because I'm so bummed.
Cut the feed.
No more Chaco Tacos, man. No more Chaco Tacos.
Fuck this. Fuck all of you. Fuck Taco Bell. I'm out of here. Black Cloak, number 7 from Image Comics, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Meredith McLaren. We're coming back to this title after a very long time. This is set in a fantasy world where mysteries go on. It's basically a fantasy noir. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. A former law enforcer or Black Cloak here in this world who keeps getting pushed outside but keeps also getting pulled back in. I love this world. I love this art. The characters are very fun. It's lush. It's beautiful. So happy to have this back.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a slow burn, but great ending. Love the art, cool character design. I like the kind of cartoony feel. It softens the violence in a good way. And just sometimes, like, them just having tea was great. I mean, that's impressive in a comic when people are just kind of sitting down having tea, but you're still enthralled. It's impressive.
Yeah, we hate tea.
I love tea.
Black Cloak to Crocodile Black, number 4 from Boom Studios, written by Phillip Kennedy Johnson. I do. Art by Sam. We're getting some big answers in this issue, maybe about what's been going on in the series. Well, it's very dreamlike
know.
in terms
I
of what's
know.
going
It's just
on. We're
funny that
following
you
a
set
main
that up.
character who found some crocodile boots and has gone essentially on a murder spree working for a bunch of other folks. But by the end of this issue, we have a better sense of why his mental state might be the way it is. And it is a jaw dropper, I thought, when we got there. Again, I will talk to Phillip Kennedy Johnson about this one. So go up in the Comic Book Club feed later this week with some spoilers there. But what you guys think?
This is such like a bloody, sweaty, like noir. Like the murder is, you really feel every bit of it. You feel the humidity of what's happening around these characters, the tragic nature of it, the sort of the darkness that's pushing through these characters. I think this title was a slow build up, and then this issue is just really smashing it out of the park, I thought.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying here. Story is really starting to get good here. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening in this comic, and it's enjoyable in kind of an insane way.
Clear scared of crocodiles.
Who isn't?
I'm not scared of them.
I'm scared
You're
of
not?
alligators, but not crocodiles.
What?
I just don't like the way that alligators' jaws open. The way the crocodile's jaws open is the opposite. It's better. And I remember which one is which.
That's
so
not.
I don't
true.
need to specify.
It's not
No,
true
that
at all.
is the difference. That actually is the difference, is that their jaws
Well,
open.
one goes up and one just goes down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
they
goes up
can't
and
be
one
the
goes down.
opposite. That's
What do you mean?
they both open. You can't.
No, but one of them, their jaw
One's
goes
like a
up.
hungry hippo, and one's like a shark.
Yeah, exactly. One is like this. Does this work for an audio podcast, Pete?
Yeah.
And one is like this. Ooh, I just knocked my mic. That's not good.
Who would you want to be in a fight with? A hungry hippo or a shark?
So one opens from the top and the other opens from the bottom. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
That can't be. The
I
only
said that
difference.
several times.
It's
Yeah,
not the
you
only
even did a
difference,
little-
but that's a difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're both like dinosaurs, though.
Well, also, one of them prefers McDonald's and the other prefers Burger King, but I
Well,
always would guess.
whichever one is Team Burger King is my favorite.
I agree.
Why?
Red
like
coat
Burger
number
King,
5.
McDonald's is bad. I'm sorry.
The French fries will always win.
I
at
think
McDonald's.
Nothing
better at
beats a
Burger King.
rodeo cheeseburger.
And here's the other thing. The Burger King fries are better initially. Like, you got to eat them quickly.
You're just clearly rejecting reality. Not accurate. The fact that you got a ticking clock on your French fries,
Yeah.
I don't want to live that way. I don't need to go into a restaurant and be like,
live that way.
hurry, eat them. They're getting bad now.
Probably bad now. You shouldn't eat them.
Don't need that.
Red coat number 5.
Yeah, we're going to finish up our color block here with Red Coat number 5 from
Oh, I
Image
see what you
Comics,
did
written
there.
by Jeff Johns, art by Andrew Curry and Brian Hitch. We are following our immortal Red Coat, who is trying to stop George Washington from killing him and bringing about the end of America. We're also getting a big mythology dump in this issue as well. We're finding out why he can't leave America. We find out who the big villain is. It's not necessarily a big surprise, but it's played out, I thought, in a fun way. I enjoy this title. I think it's big, it's purposefully goofy. It feels very much in line with what Jeff Johns was doing on Stargirl, the TV show, even more than the comic book. I'm having a good time.
It's your classic story where you got Benedict Arnold, Einstein, Johnny Appleseed, George Washington, and some other history stuff just smashing together and trying to figure it out. You know, it feels, this book reading, I was like, this is like an improv scene that you were all in.
I have a question
What
for you
was the
guys.
suggestion?
Eggs
History?
Benedict, they're called that because they betray your stomach, right?
Oh, wow. Fun.
Yeah, you trust them going in, and then they turn on you. Right?
Ooh.
Yeah, this has amazing art.
Oh, Pete's done.
Nothing from Pete. I mean, I agree with you. It is fun. It does feel like it's just a little bit of a wild. It's like a little like of a bucking bronco of a story. But it's I guess the Einstein thing. I'm like, why do we have a child Einstein hanging out? I don't. That's the part I'm like,
I'm not sure, but I think the idea is fun. Like that's what I'm taking away from it. Is it's just fun for them to be like, baby Einstein is hanging out with a red coat and immortal Benedict Arnold, and they're talking about the war between cherries and apples. I don't know.
Yeah,
If that's what you think is fun, man, all right.
Pete is very much done. And we are very much done. If you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/comic book club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about comics, Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice. To subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter/X, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok and Instagram, comicbook.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, other than Justin, who is dead, we'll see you at the Comic Book Club.
Woohoo!
I diddly died.
Blow your mind.